All right, thank you for joining today's webinar. We're going to go over your daily questions here, and then we're also going to talk about the Mega Backdoor Roth Solo 401k plan, which is always a hot topic, and we enjoy talking about it. Um, of course, we need to talk about the Solo 401k eligibility requirements, as those obviously need to be met before you can even execute the Mega Backdoor Roth Solo 401k feature. All right, as always, you can follow the conversation on my community, which is my solo401k.net/my community, where we have lots of videos on various topics. We have a large library of blog posts as well from professionals in the industry. You're actually able to post blogs out there and link it back to your company website. And a lot of advisors and attorneys and CPAs do that to get the word out about their expertise and their business. Today's webinar is for educational purposes. We're not selling investments. We don't provide investment advice, nor do we provide tax or legal advice. With that being said, let's talk about the Solo 401k eligibility requirements. To open a self-directed Solo 401k plan, you have to be self-employed with no full-time W-2 employees. So as long as you don't have any employees who work 1,000 hours or more in your business, you would be eligible to open a Solo 401k plan, as you can exclude leased employees as well as contractors or even professional employer organization employees. Your spouse can also participate in the same Solo 401k plan if she is also working in your self-employed business. Here's an example of a two-participant Solo 401k plan. For example, let's say that the self-employed business is a limited liability company. So the limited liability company, that's the LLC, would sponsor the Solo 401k plan. Let's further assume here that both spouses work under the same self-employed LLC business. Therefore, they can both participate in one plan. This slide here gives an example of a total of 6 holding accounts under the Solo 401k plan, aka bank or brokerage accounts. As you can see here, each spouse has their own separate pre-tax holding account, Roth account, and voluntary after-tax account. Hence why you see 6 separate holding accounts here. So in short, one plan, separate holding accounts for each spouse, and also separate holding accounts for each source of funds. This prior slide here is an example of just a one participant plan where there's only one owner in the business, for instance, and this individual is not married. Therefore, only one participant in the plan. The plan would be sponsored by the self-employed business LLC. Keep in mind, it can also be an S corporation, partnership, or a sole proprietorship. I'm just using the LLC entity type as an example. Here it would be a total of 3 holding accounts instead of 6 holding accounts, because here there's only one participant in the plan. So 3 separate holding accounts. The first one is the pre-tax Solo 401k holding account. The second one is the Roth Solo 401k holding account. And the final one is the voluntary after-tax Solo 401k holding account. To establish a self-directed Solo 401k plan, we make it very easy. We have an online application that you would fill out, and then we follow several steps to get the plan adopted and set up. We'll go over that in more detail shortly when we start talking about the Mega Backdoor Roth Solo 401k plan. Some of the items to consider when looking to open a solo 401k plan, besides making sure that you're eligible, meaning you're self-employed with no full-time W-2 employees in any business that you control, is how many participants will be in the plan, the types of contributions you're going to make, the types of investments you're going to make. Our plan does allow for both traditional investments, so equities, as well as alternative investments like real estate, precious metals, cryptocurrency, private funds, to name a few. And then you want to decide whether you want to open up bank or brokerage accounts under the plan. In some instances, you might want to have both, but most clients will solely open a brokerage account with someone like Fidelity or Schwab, which we'll assist with because it's one-stop shop, meaning they'll be able to invest in equities, but also alternative investments like real estate. You can also transfer IRAs and former employer plans to the solo 401k. So those are other things to consider that can be done at the time the account is open, or it can be done later on. You also want to consider certain items when opening a solo 401k plan when it comes to determining whether you're eligible. So some common questions that we receive are, am I required to have a separate entity to open a solo 401k plan? Not per se, meaning it doesn't have to be an LLC or an S corporation. It can be a sole proprietorship where you're a contractor or you're a farmer and therefore you file a Schedule C or Schedule F for a farmer. You can also participate in a daytime employer 401k and contribute to that plan based on your W-2 wages from that employer. And you can also have a solo 401k plan for your side business and also make contributions to the solo 401k plan based on your self-employment income. You do need a separate employer identification number for the solo 401k, which is going to be used when opening up the bank and or brokerage accounts, as well as for reporting distributions and conversions. Okay, let's start talking about the Mega Backdoor Roth Solo 401k plan. Let me share my screen here and we'll start talking about it. Okay, here we go. So our clients have been processing the Mega Backdoor Roth Solo 401k strategy for many years, as far back as I can remember, but it really took off back in 2014, and we've been seeing easily a 50% or more increase every year thereafter in the voluntary after-tax solo 401k strategy. It's safe to say that we were probably one of the first self-directed solo 401k providers that introduced the Mega Backdoor Roth Solo 401k to the industry. Prior to that, no one really knew about it. And then after that, big time employer 401k plans like the Amazon 401ks of the world also allow for the Mega Backdoor Roth 401k. But the Mega Backdoor Roth Solo 401k strategy works as follows. First, you have to open a self-directed solo 401k plan from a provider such as my solo 401k Financial, whose plan allows for the Mega Backdoor strategy, which is made up of several steps. And then after that, you need to open the solo 401k plan and make sure that the plan is built to allow for not only voluntary after-tax solo 401k contributions, but also conversions. Our plan allows for it. It's already built with those features, and you can execute or exercise the Mega Backdoor strategy anytime. So you can do it when you open the plan or later on. It's always part of the plan. All right, let's keep going here. So we just talked about those two items. Let's talk about the steps involved in the Mega Backdoor Roth Solo 401k strategy. So obviously, once you open the plan with the provider, such as my solo 401k financial, whose plan documents allow for the mega backdoor, then you want to make sure that you also open up separate bank or brokerage accounts to hold the various fund sources. So you're going to need a separate bank or brokerage account under the solo 401k to hold those voluntary after-tax solo 401k contributions. If you have two participants in the plan, that is two spouses, for example, that are self-employed in the same business and thus participate in the same solo 401k plan, each spouse will need separate holding accounts, including separate bank or brokerage accounts to hold those voluntary after-tax solo 401k funds. They're going to be labeled accordingly so that you know which one of those accounts, those holding accounts, is the applicable voluntary after-tax solo 401k holding account. And then under step 2, you're going to go ahead and make that voluntary after-tax solo 401k contribution to that applicable or dedicated voluntary after-tax holding accounts. Again, if it's a two-spouse plan, it's two separate holding accounts, two separate voluntary after-tax solo 401k holding accounts. Once you make that contribution to that voluntary after-tax solo 401k holding account, it's time to convert those funds from that voluntary after-tax solo 401k account to the Roth solo 401k or to the Roth IRA. You're going to do that by moving the funds electronically or by check from that voluntary after-tax solo 401k account to the Roth solo 401k holding account. As I mentioned earlier, many of our clients will use Fidelity Investments to hold the solo 401k funds for the plan that we offer, because Fidelity will provide what's called non-prototype investment-only brokerage accounts for a self-directed solo 401k plan offered by companies like my solo 401k financial, because they know that we are the ones responsible for assisting a client with any type of reporting. So if you use Fidelity to hold the brokerage accounts for the plan that we offer, you're going to be able to call Fidelity and ask them to convert those funds from the voluntary after-tax solo 401k to that Roth solo 401k brokerage account also held at Fidelity. Or if you're going to convert it to the Roth IRA instead of the Roth solo 401k, you would fill out the applicable Fidelity form, which we can provide you with. We also reference that form on our website. We can do the same with bank accounts and brokerage accounts over at Schwab as well. Fidelity is just an example. Once you've converted those funds over to the Roth solo 401k or the Roth IRA from the voluntary after-tax solo 401k holding account, we move on to step 4, where we need to be notified that you processed the conversion. So you need to complete our online conversion form, which is found on our forms page of our website. Once you complete that form, that's going to prompt us to issue a Form 1099-R to report that non-taxable conversion to the government. So that's step 4. Under step 5, that's where we issue the Form 1099-R, which is issued by the following year. So for instance, anyone that processed the mega backdoor conversion last year in 2024, we are issuing Form 1099-Rs right now through February. And then we're going to file those Form 1099-Rs with the IRS by March 31st. So those are the steps involved in the mega backdoor Roth solo 401k plan. We have a link to this page on our website that's very helpful as well. It has this infographic. I'll go ahead and share that with you here so you have it. But those are the steps involved in the mega backdoor. Now, we do get some questions from time to time regarding, should I convert to the Roth solo 401k plan or should I convert to the Roth IRA? It used to be that clients would convert to the Roth IRA instead of the Roth solo 401k plan, but that was more because Roth Solo 401k plans used to be subject to required minimum distributions. Well, not anymore. With the passage of Secure 2.0, the Act 2.0, it eliminated required minimum distributions from Roth Solo 401k funds. So just like Roth IRAs have never been subject to required minimum distributions, same is true now for Roth Solo 401k plans. So for that reason, we now see more clients converting their voluntary after-tax Solo 401k funds to the Roth Solo 401k instead of the Roth IRA. Another reason is also for our alternative investment clients who like to invest in real estate, for example. They will convert the funds to the Roth Solo 401k instead, especially if they're utilizing debt financing when investing in real estate. Because when you utilize what's called a non-recourse loan for investing in real estate through a self-directed solo 401k plan, it does not subject that solo 401k plan to unrelated debt finance income tax. That tax does apply to Roth IRAs, however, that utilize a non-recourse loan for investing in real estate. Another reason clients will generally convert to the Roth Solo 401k instead of the Roth IRA is that they can take a participant loan from the Roth Solo 401k. IRAs, including Roth IRAs, are not allowed to be borrowed from. So you can't borrow from your Roth IRA through a participant loan like you can with the Roth Solo 401k plan. So those are some of the reasons why clients will go ahead and utilize the mega backdoor and then convert it over to the Roth Solo 401k instead of the Roth IRA. Now, a couple other items to consider when utilizing the mega backdoor Roth Solo 401k strategy is that you can contribute the overall limit to the voluntary after-tax solo 401k and then convert it to the Roth Solo 401k or the Roth IRA. So for example, for 2025, the contribution limits are now $70,000. So therefore, you could contribute the entire $70,000 to the Roth Solo 401k, to the voluntary after-tax solo 401k bucket, and then you can turn around and subsequently convert it to the Roth Solo 401k. So that's how you get $70,000 in contributions to your Roth IRA by utilizing the mega backdoor Roth Solo 401k strategy. Another item to understand is that catch-up contributions, so $7,500 for those age 50 or older, or $11,250 for those age 60, 61, 62, or 63, those can never be made to the voluntary after-tax solo 401k plan. Instead, you would make them directly to the Roth Solo 401k holding account. So that's another question we get quite often. Now let's go back to the mega backdoor again, and let's look at a couple more tidbits here, and then we'll be done for today. So in order to contribute to a solo 401k, whether we're talking about Roth Solo 401k contributions, pre-tax solo 401k contributions, or voluntary after-tax solo 401k contribution, you're going to need self-employment income to justify the contribution. So in short, you can't contribute more than you make in self-employment income, and you have to have enough net self-employment income to be able to make that voluntary after-tax solo 401k contribution. Let's see, we often get a question about the pro rata rules. So keep in mind that pro rata rules apply to the backdoor Roth IRA, not the mega backdoor Roth Solo 401k per se. So the pro rata rule for a Roth IRA, where you do a backdoor Roth IRA, that's where you have to look at all your IRAs to determine how much of a backdoor Roth IRA you can process. Well, with the mega backdoor Roth solo 401k, the voluntary after-tax solo 401k contributions get deposited into a separate holding account titled the voluntary after-tax bucket. So the pro rata rule only applies at that account level, so at that voluntary after-tax bucket. So that's why it's important to open up a separate bank or brokerage account to hold those voluntary after-tax solo 401k funds, then make the voluntary after-tax contribution to that bucket, and then you have to convert all the funds in that specific voluntary after-tax solo 401k bucket. And then that's when you convert it to the Roth solo 401k or the Roth IRA. So that's why we put together this Q&A here. And sources for that whole voluntary after-tax bucket that I just talked about, you can look at IRS code 72D2, which talks about separate accounting. So, and then IRS notice 2014-54 talks about how the pro rata rule applies at the account level. So hence why you need a separate voluntary after-tax holding account. All right. So those are all the items I wanted to go through today regarding the Mega Backdoor Roth Solo 401k plan. Again, we'll be live again here at 1 p.m. Pacific time. So if you didn't have a chance to join today's webinar, then you can go ahead and join again at 1 p.m. Pacific time. I do see a question here. Let's get to that question here. Does your Rob's 401k have the same Mega Backdoor Roth and plan conversion capabilities? Yes, it does. The rollover business startup 401k does allow for the Mega Backdoor Roth Solo 401k strategy as well. So it's not just available to the solo 401k plan. It would be the similar procedure in that you would need separate brokerage accounts to hold those voluntary after-tax Rob's 401k contributions, and then a separate Rob's 401k Roth brokerage account to hold the Roth funds, and then you would convert from the Mega Backdoor, you would convert from the Rob's 401k after-tax brokerage account over to the Rob's 401k brokerage account. So good question. All right, everybody. Again, we're live every day at 10 a.m. Pacific time. I should say Monday through Friday, and then also at 1 p.m. Pacific time. Thank you again, and we'll see you again here at 1 p.m. Pacific time.